I would came to me one day and she would be like, okay, I have to do this scene, Charlie. Are my eyebrows moving? Are they moving? And, I mean, like, literally, you couldn't move them in there, but I'd be like, no, Daph, there's nothing.
I'd be like, nothing? I'd be like, I'm lifting my right one. Can you see it? And he'd be like,
no,
nothing.
This isn't about good or bad. This is about power and who is allowed to use it.
The coolest shot so far happens in episode 4, which is the moment that every Jedi ignites their lightsaber at once and it sort of goes down the line. I want to know how cool that was on the day of the shoot. Did it look equally awesome?
You know what? It was equally awesome about until the second that Daphne started to try and run and fell on a fern.
Oh, no.
That was really what made it a human moment.
Like a few takes. It wasn't like I fell. I kept face planting the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. But
it was epic until that moment, though.
Yeah.
It was
Once
really
we pulled him out, that was pretty solid.
Yeah. It was really humbling. We all felt really cool, and it was like,
Yeah. At least she didn't get a horn into,
Thank God. Actually, that's a really good point. Yeah.
실제로 광선검에 불이 들어오고.
Yeah, that scene you mentioned, we kind of shot it with the light actually coming on and the lightsaber, so it felt very realistic.
실질적으로 연기할 때 도움이 많이 됐습니다. 그래서 그 빨간 검.
And when we saw that red lightsaber come on for the first time, it really felt like a big event was going to happen or a big fight scene. So it was a really exciting moment on set as well.
Rebecca, I'm curious, jealous of the co-stars who didn't have to endure the makeup chair, or really happy with your look?
Really happy with my look. Definitely look better green. Would prefer to always be green and bald. It was so sad when they took it off and like my skin underneath, like red and gross. Yeah, I loved being green. My eyes are actually green, so it made my eyes really pop. And I thought I looked fantastic, honestly. But it is a long process. It was 3 hours at first, and then 2 hours we got it down to. And then taking it off was a process. And when I blew my nose for the week afterwards, it would be green.
I honestly loved it. I can't think of many cons. It was really good to get into the character. I think it gave her a completely different dimension. I'd imagined her in a way, and then she became something completely different when I was in the makeup, which was really nice. Also, just from a vain human point of view, having your face taken away from you just takes so much pressure off you, because you don't have to be thinking about, you're just the character.
Yeah.
And from a comedy point of view, it meant that anytime we went out with the crew, no one knew who I was.
No.
They were like, it's nice to meet you, and I'd be like, I have been working with you for 6 months.
Yeah.
6 months.
I mean, you got to mention the eyebrows, though.
Oh yeah, well it's also really difficult to act. I use my eyebrows a lot, but it's really difficult to act without any eyebrows. And I kept being told off by Leslye. She'd be like, you're not acting. And I'd be like, I'm doing so much, but obviously if you cover this, it looks like you're not doing anything. So I was giving the most deadpan performance ever, but to me I was overacting so much. I was like, no, because all you could see was this.
Oh, I thought that was a choice. I thought deadpan was just like you.
Yeah, let's go with that. It was definitely a choice. Yeah.
I came to me one day and she would be like, okay, I have to do this scene, Charlie. Are my eyebrows moving? Are they moving? And, I mean, literally, you couldn't move them in there, but I'd be like, no, Daph, there's nothing.
I'd be like, nothing? I'd be like, I'm lifting my right one. Can you see it? And he'd be like,
no,
nothing.
Oh, sorry.
Destiny is not decided for you by an anonymous force. If you want to pull the thread and change everything, and pull it.
We finally get into Force Witches, which is an incredible thing to discuss. How much research into this corner of the universe did you have to do, and who could you turn to when you needed questions answered?
Leslye is pretty much like a walking Star Wars encyclopedia. That was one thing that was really great about it, to know the person the most closest to the project was right there, for me to just be like, okay, explain this to me, explain that to me. Thank God for the internet, because, in lieu of reading a bunch of books when you don't necessarily, like when you're literally thrown into something. It's good to be able to like go down a black hole of doom scrolling. But what was nice is to be able to talk to a person, right? Because it's like there's so much information out there. And so to actually be able to like to talk to someone who is so knowledgeable about it. I mean, Leslye really walked me through everything.
감독님하고 가장 대화를 많이 했고요.
I would say I had the most conversations with director and showrunner Leslye Headland. I mean, she is a mega fan, so she has like an encyclopedic knowledge of Star Wars. So whether it was any questions I had about, you know, the background, the backstory, about the characters, she was really able to answer all of them.
잘 아셔서.
We had a Force teacher, which is for me one of the coolest part, aside from our unbelievable stunt team and their leadership. Alex was leading us through our own connection to the Force, through meditation, through movement. A lot of that I took in just kind of centering myself and applying the physical nature. We all, as actors, we always have a different inlets. You know, it might be physical, it might be imagery, it might be costume, it might be shoes or music. Through that experience, I really grasped a better control or knowledge of how physical can play such a huge role. Alex was incredible, though, really.
I think Star Wars is so invested in its characters. You know, it's really so much about each character, and you don't often get that kind of special attention to character and story in all sci-fi productions. Like a lot of times it's really about the bigger picture and not necessarily about like what is granular about each character.
What happened?
I sensed darkness.
Part of the joy of getting to watch these episodes is that I'm sharing them with my son right off the bat, he's a college student, he's home from school, he's watched Star Wars with me all my life. I'm curious if there's a family member who introduced you to this world, or maybe even a family member who you can't wait to share these episodes with because of their shared love of Star Wars.
The answer is my dad and my dad. I watched them with my dad when I was young, and he's so excited that I'm in this show. It's beautiful. I was doing some press yesterday, and the answers of the two people I was with yesterday also were like, watched it with my dad. So there's obviously like a big, I love that.
뭐 지금 저희 가족분들은
Yeah, of course my family is extremely excited for the Acolyte to come out.
지금 한국에서 첫 방송
Actually, there's going to be a group of my friends, you know, watching it the day it comes out, and then also my family members, so
너 JJ는 어느 쪽에 와서 볼
I'm
거야?
kind of torn. They're saying I should come to each of their meetings, and I don't know where to go.
지금 좀 갈등이 많습니다.
Close your eyes. Your eyes can deceive you. Tell me what comes into your mind.
Rebecca, you can't mention the High Council, the Jedi Council, without us wondering if Yoda, who's been around for a really long time, might potentially show up. Touch your nose if this is a character who you're familiar with, or
if I'm familiar with Yoda.
Yeah, or might see in the Acolyte at some point down the line.
Touch your nose.
Unfortunately, you do not. Unfortunately, but I don't know. Maybe in the second season, third season.
Daphne, before they kick me out, I just need to know, as someone who was in Logan, what your reaction was to Hugh coming back to the role. Were you shocked?
I was so shocked because when we were shooting, Hugh was like, "I'm never doing." He was like, "I love it, but I've been doing this for 17 years, and I want to leave this behind." So it was a real shock to see it, but the trailer looks incredible. So I'm just really excited to see it when it comes out. I will be in the cinema for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to watch it together?
Oh yeah.
Let's go watch it together.
I want to be there.
Yeah.
That's right. We're all going together.
We're all going.